and Liesbet, so as Ria said, employees of Haas Scholen, a secondary school with 2 different campuses around Leuven, 3,000 students, age 12 till 18. In this presentation, we explain the route we have followed so far and our future route in the field of digitization. Our world is constantly evolving and digitizing. In this swiftly changing and volatile world, the impact of new technology on who we are and what we do is immense. The question is definitely no longer if, but how and to which size we allow technology to take a place. September 2019, we started both a laptop project for teachers and the expansion of infrastructure such as Wi-Fi network. The laptop project workgroup was established September 2020. At that moment, we focused on the technical resource and did not pay a lot of attention to the pedagogical and didactic vision. Although we realized that this was not a logical route. Why did we choose that path? The fact that we are a large school with a lot of different competencies implied that some people would want to start immediately, whereas a large group could not participate immediately. By choosing this route, forerunners already had the opportunity to start, while the main group is not obligated. First, we set up a work group that aimed at questioning the needs and concerns of our teachers. As mentioned before, the focus was on the hardware, like the type of laptops such as the screen size or a pen device, not on the way teachers will use it. Based on the answers, we worked out small projects with laptops in the class. After assessment, the work group gives a positive advice to start the project all over the first grade and in some fields of study in the 3rd year. Initially, the story was developed on the base of a Bring Your Own Device project financed by the parents. Later on, as a result of the measure taken by the government, the school decided to buy laptops and to provide them to the students. The school charged a usage fee for this service. Also, during the school holidays, the laptop is available for the students. How about a further rollout of the project? Next year, we will start in the 2nd grade, and afterwards, the project follows the modernization. The students will have a laptop with a pen device from the 3rd year, because we think it will be important for digitalization in the future. This rollout is based on the result of surveys on the route and type. Based on all the surveys, a first version, based on the surveys, a first vision of the version of the vision on the laptop project was developed and written out. This and all practical use was added to our booklet. With the integration of the laptop, we want to provide a powerful digital learning environment to all our students. As a result, students will learn the opportunities of the digital world. In this way, we strive to establish a solid foundation for all students, and we provide new accents for the future. We want to offer our students extra possibilities and opportunities to master 21st century skills, such as digital and media literacy and much more. It is important that ICT is supported by the whole school, creating a climate where all those involved collaborate to reflect, research and professionalize. As you notice, there were already some pedagogical and didactic thinking in this work group, but 2 problems arose. How could we integrate this in the class, and how could we substance this vision? An evaluation and further development of the pedagogical and didactic vision was needed. The workgroup was transformed into the workgroup Digital Transition. The goals of the workgroup are the following: providing together a powerful digital learning environment for all our students, keeping in mind with similar educational opportunities, investigate which technology serves best the need to offer tailor-made education, provide inspiration and practical support for the digital teacher, help discover the basic channels and make available additional tools, and offer collaboration support in working out digital lessons. The different grades on both campuses are represented in the workgroup. To develop the first vision into a complete ICT policy, we based ourselves on various theoretical concepts. Catholic Education Flanders, and an organization that represents 70% of the students in Flanders, also recommends working out an ICT strategy. As mentioned earlier, we were fully aware of the fact that starting with infrastructure is not a logical order. So we took a step back in order to define our action points. We found a lot of inspiration in the model. It's quite interesting to check the website of Catholic Education Flanders on the fact why it is important to develop an ICT policy.
Catholic Education Flanders considers an ICT policy as an important means to achieve successful ICT integration for students. The school-based process of an ICT policy provides a sustainable implementation up to the classroom environment. And that's finally what students profit from. Click on the link to see quite an interesting movie on this issue. The workgroup Digital Transition is also restarted, focusing on the why, the how and what. We want to continue to provide a powerful digital learning environment to all our students. Further on in this presentation, we will define different building blocks linked to action points. From all the action points drawn up by the workgroup, we selected one as a priority: developing a framework for teaching materials. The goal is to develop a guideline for colleagues who want to work more digitally, who want to use more digital tools in their lessons, or who want to develop their own digital course. What we do not want is to force colleagues into a specific direction and to rule out other options. What we do want is to work out a framework that teachers can rely on and that we can promote and support. We strive to obtain more uniformity for both students and teachers. Regarding part 1, the course, clarity and structure for students is the main priority. They need to know where they can easily find everything needed. But a clear structure is also important for teachers. An interim worker must quickly gain insight into the structure and material of the colleague he or she is replacing. Therefore, a survey was organized to question the colleagues on what they considered to be essential functionalities of a digital course and which materials they were already using in class. Regarding part 2, this element of the action point focuses on the use of digital tools such as Kahoot and BookWidget. They can be used to introduce a new item, to test prior knowledge, to provide independent learning, and so on. Concerning this part, we also want to make a choice in terms of support and uniformity. We also partly discussed how we could best share good examples with one another and questioned our colleagues on their experiences using this tool. A scan from our digital capital should have been the starter of the project. Our plan with building blocks and action points is not yet complete, at least not final. One can always adjust. We wanted to know the initial situation, so we took a digital scan. The Digi Capital Scan, organized by schoolmakers on the basis of the 4 in a balance model, measured vision and strategy, team competences, digitization leadership, school culture, school organization, and ICT infrastructure. The scan provided us more information about our progress, and the result will help us to make good choices in the future. Based on the analysis and discussion, we started to work on an adjusted ICT strategy that fitted our vision. We needed to set priorities and define the different steps we had to take. Not every aspect that scored low had to be addressed immediately, nor should aspects that already scored high be overlooked and not be further developed or supported. We needed to make these choices. So we connected different building blocks with action points, which we will discuss below. Some of them have already been rolled out or in the progress of being rolled out. Any further action points can be defined on the basis of their assessment. We didn't score all too well on the aspects school culture and leadership. Concerning leadership, it became clear ICT personnel and teachers should be more involved in drawing out an ICT strategy. In the field of school culture, the evaluation of the progress of digitization, the use of resources to gain expertise in digital learning, and the collaboration of teachers to strengthen digital expertise were items that needed extra focus. The action points that have already been rolled out are in line with these recommendations, which form a solid basis for the elaboration of future actions. A lot of them have already been conceived, but still need to be worked out in detail. After the survey, we have discussed the result in our group digital transition. It turned out that the tool that is the most suitable and meeting all the needs of the teachers to create a course is Class Notebook. But this tool is the least known. This is why we are starting to provide training on this tool. The survey also showed that we have a lot of experts in-house who have knowledge about various other digital tools. We are now looking for a platform to share good examples with each other and exchange knowledge.
In the area of education, various theoretical frameworks on the use of digitization exist. We consider it important that teachers are aware of these theoretical frameworks and have therefore informed them about these. It's not our goal to focus on those theories as such, but to clarify that to us digitization is a step-by-step process. In linking the different stages of the process to various theories, we will try to make it easier for everyone to continue to see the wood for the trees. Catholic Education Flanders has bundled various theoretical frameworks based on the 4-imbalance model. We now focus on the expertise building block. Expertise means the required competences of the school team to use ICT properly. Under the wings of the European Commission, a reference framework that describes the digital competences of teachers has been developed. Each and every teacher's initial situation for working with digital resources is different. Differentiation is therefore necessary to boost the expertise of teachers. Teachers who are familiar with the possibilities of digital resources will already frequently use them in their teaching practice. Others are only taking their first steps, partly due to Corona. Therefore, the frame of reference starts by referring to skill levels using role descriptions. Newcomers, for example, have very little experience with digital tools and need a lot of guidance. But we also shouldn't lose sight of pioneers who constantly encourage innovation and who can be role models for other teachers. In a large organization such as our school, we can be certain to encounter all of these roles and skill levels. The support we provide as a school must respond to this.
The reference framework consists of 6 different competencies, domains with a total of 22 competencies. Domain 1 focused on the professional environment. Areas 2 till 5 are the pedagogical core of the framework. They describe the competencies educators need to promote effective, inclusive, and innovative learning strategies using digital tools. Domain 6 is about students' digital competencies. This slide provides an overview of the 22 competencies grouped by domain. A tool that can be used to scale the digital competencies individually or for the entire school team. Can also be found on the DIGCOMP EDU website.
Another theoretical concept is the Tpack model. How can a teacher integrate ICT in a qualitative way? We choose to start from Schulman's model, pedagogical content knowledge, which isn't quite new, but in fact still up to date. The main idea is that a good teacher knows how to integrate didactics and subject content using the appropriate teaching materials.
For example, you need to explain gravity and celestial bodies. The Earth revolves around the Sun and gravity here plays an important role. One could, for instance, make a sketch on the board and indicate gravity with arrows, while drawing the orbit that the Earth follows. Or even better, one could use a scale model that visualizes the process.
In 2005, the American educational experts Köhler and Mishra added a third component, namely technological knowledge, to the subject content and the didactic knowledge. By technological knowledge, they actually meant more than just ICT, including media, although in practice it usually still refers to ICT. It's therefore not sufficient that teachers have knowledge of ICT, didactics, and subject matter separately, but that they know how to integrate, that is, that they understand how the three knowledge domains are related and can use this link to work out lessons. Tpack means that teachers know why certain learning contents are difficult or easy to learn, and how ICT applications can help students to overcome difficulties during the learning process. Successful teaching using ICT means that the teacher continuously seeks a balance between the three knowledge domains of the Tpack model.
With the help of ICT, one can, for instance, dig deeper on gravity and celestial bodies. There are online simulations that allow students to see how the Earth and Sun relate, how gravity works, and where they can test for themselves what happens when gravity is absent. Other planets could also be added to this model. As such, technological component is an added value in the learning process.
In fact, ICT was already implicitly present in Schulman's PCK model. Schulman paid attention to the use of different teaching aids to explain complex concepts, and ICT is one such teaching aid. Why then do Köhler and Mishra set the T apart? Their answer is that developments in ICT are happening so fast that teachers need specific knowledge in this area in order to be able to assess what ICT can mean for education. Being able to deal with ICT is not enough. The teacher must have a functional understanding of ICT in order to acquire new views. He does not need to know and master every new technology or ICT application. What matters is that he is able to quickly assess the possibilities offered by a new technology to make a certain subject matter more understandable. Learning always takes place in a specific context. This also applies to the integration of the three components in Tpack. The teacher must take into account the target group and the situation. Not every form of learning is suitable for every student. Knowledge of subject content, didactics, and technology is not sufficient to successfully apply ICT. Knowledge of target group, school, infrastructure, and environment is also necessary. That's why the circle is drawn around the three knowledge domains that indicate the importance of context. The intention is to link subject content to the appropriate didactic process and learning tool. Knowledge and associated skills are not necessarily taught in a course. The sharpening of this expertise will partly be determined by the collaborative culture that lingers in the teacher's room and in the departments. Would you like to try? Be sure to click on the link. You can play the Tpack game together, or you can do the self-scan. You will get a picture of where you fit in the model at the self-scan moment. The next theoretical concept is a SAMR model. What is the influence of the didactic use of ICT on the learning and performance of students? How innovative is the use of ICT really? The SAMR model of the American Puente Dura helps in describing the didactic use of ICT. It is not developed to be a design model. You simply use it as a tool while reflecting on a learning practice. The model consists of 4 levels. Level 1, substitution, use of ICT to replace a resource without a change in didactics.
Back to the example of your lesson on gravity. You have worksheets about the planets with pictures and examples. Instead of copying and distributing it, you create a fillable PDF and deliver it to the students. You do the same, but you use a computer.
Level 2, augmentation. Use of ICT to replace a tool that leads to a reinforcement of the didactics used. Level 3, modification. Use of ICT for the redesign of learning tasks. And level 4, redefinition. Use technology to design learning tasks that would not be possible without technology.
Back to the lesson on gravity. You give the students some research assignments in which they have to use simulation software. Through this software, they see the orbit that the Earth describes. They can also add other items such as the moon and a space station. They can then turn off gravity and see what happens. You therefore thoroughly adapt your didactics with the help of ICT.
The levels of substitution and augmentation are about reinforcing the existing didactic approach. The didactics itself don't change. Allowing students to use educational content via a laptop has its advantages, but the question remains whether the use of ICT leads to a better learning for students. What changes compared to traditional reading? Even if the students use the laptop functionality to make digital notes they can use for a paper, the didactics in principle remain the same. By using the laptop, they could possibly do it in a more efficient way. Modification and redefinition is about transformation of didactics, whereby the characteristics of ICT lead to redesign learning activities or even develop learning activities that would not have been possible without ICT.
Students can, for instance, create a multimedia project by means of various tools on their device, laptop, smartphone, whereby they have to look critically at the sources they collect and assess whether these sources are suitable. It is in fact a totally different assignment. This process can take place online where students collaborate independently of time and place, or able to publish their product online, share it with the rest of the world and receive feedback.
These are learning activities where the active learning of the students is in the center of the process and they require higher thinking skills. Oops, so much work, so much pressure, and then this too. The workload for teachers is already really high. As mentioned in the beginning, digitization is really an issue we cannot ignore. We must try to find a way in which we gradually take one little step at a time towards a better integration of ICT. In this aspect, we would like to emphasize again that ICT is not a goal in itself, but a tool that we must learn to use in an appropriate way. Appropriate also means that ICT is not always the appropriate learning tool for every subject content and/or every didactic concept. For some, the digitization process will be faster than for others. If one reflects about the SAMR model and finds out that one only uses ICT at the substitution level, he or she is not suddenly a bad teacher. It's important to know that ICT can be used in a different way in the long term, and that an individual does not have to figure it out on his own. In respect to this, the school will facilitate this by providing the necessary support. In summary, support is necessary. It's a process in which choices have to be made, priorities are set. These theoretical concepts can be used by teachers to verify, to declare the steps in the digital process. That's why we think it's very important to offer these concepts to teachers. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. As you said yourself, we indeed often have the feeling we can't find the wood for the trees when it comes to digital transition. And thank you very much to share with us some models to scan our digital behavior in classroom. It's not enough, I have understood, to use digital tools to be innovative or to create really new class activities. But I want to leave the opportunity to others to ask some questions if there are. Okay. Lynn? Ellen,
yes,
up to you.
Good morning. It's not really a question. I just wanted to express. Yes? You hear me?
Yes.
You don't hear me? You hear me now?
Yes, perfect.
Okay, good, perfect. Yeah, it's not just a question. It's just more a thank you, because I think these models really do help us to create some order and some structure in the chaos that teachers often feel when talking about digitalization and how will we do this with students. So for me, this was a really interesting talk, just to see some tools and some guidelines that I can use to decide on how to work with my materials in the coming years. So it was just a remark. It's not really a question.
If I add another remark, I think it's up to us now, Helene and the other partners, to scan our educational activities, which in the meanwhile in this project we have created some. We have to evaluate and see whether the activities we have created on historical topics and using heritage. You gave the example of gravity, but you can the same way think about history lessons or language lessons and use the model in which way is it really a new educational activity. So that was very inspiring for me. Okay. No other questions? Let me tell you that presentations will be shared with the participants afterwards. So Johan, if it would be possible to send it as a PDF, then we share it afterwards.
Okay, we bring it.
Yep. Okay. Thank you very much. Have a nice lunch, I'd say, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.
Thank you.